So I think we are live on Facebook. Awesome. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Jones, and I serve as the coordinator of parent and family programs in the Center for Student Success here at Southern Miss. And I serve as your go-to person on campus. I am here as your liaison to help you as your students are getting connected to Southern Miss and transitioning. And I am here today joined with Miss Emily Holmes, who serves as the director for the Office of Leadership and Student Involvement. And this is the September Seymour Scoop. Each month, our office, through the Parent and Family Programs, hosts the Seymour Scoop, which is our webcast series. And in this series, we are joined every month with an office on campus, a resource office, so that you can learn a little bit more about the opportunities that are available to your student. And this is an opportunity for you to see how you can better assist your student as they're transition and matriculating throughout their time here at Southern Miss. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get started with Miss Emily Holmes. Thank you so much, Miss Emily, for being here with us. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. So if you will, tell us, what is the Office of Leadership and Student Involvement?
Sure. So as Ashley said, I serve as director of our Office of Leadership and Student Involvement. And so we oversee student engagement on campus. And so primarily that looks like involvement in student organizations. We also have a couple of organizations associated with our office, like the Student Government Association, the Southern Miss Activities Council, which is our campus programming board, and Involvement Ambassadors, which are a group of student leaders who meet with students on campus about involvement. And so we kind of serve as that primary hub to help students get connected to those out of the class experiences on campus.
Awesome. So, serving as that hub, and so you're the ones that hold the information and you're giving them to students of how they can get connected. Tell us how many registered organizations are on campus and what is the variety of options that are available?
Sure. So in any given year, groups have to register with us each year. And so in any given year, we end up right around 200 different student organizations. And so that is a variety of things for students. There are academic organizations, depending on what your student's major or discipline is. There might be an organization specifically for that major. We have honor societies that might be associated with a specific academic discipline or just a general honor society. There are religious organizations on campus. There are service organizations. We have our traditional fraternity and sorority organizations, special interest organizations, and then kind of club sport or recreation and health organizations. So at any given time on campus, there is, over hundreds of ways for students to get plugged in, depending on a variety of what their interests might be. And we also have a fairly easy process if a student comes to us and they're really passionate about something that we don't have on campus already. We have a fairly simple process to work alongside with them to help them charter a new organization, is what we call it, so that we can help them continue to explore their passions and their interests in student organization involvement if that's something that's important to them.
And that's wonderful. I met with a student over the summer when we were having our virtual summer orientations. And it was one of the sessions where we were talking about student involvement and how to get involved. And one of the students that was on the panel was sharing his experience with creating his own creative writing organization. And so passionate about it. And actually, during one of those orientation sessions, one of the students that was an incoming freshman also expressed interest and said, well, I want to do this too. And so it's really exciting. And I'm glad that you guys have that. And it's something that, parents and students should know, that if there's something that they, have that passion for that's not already here, go ahead and create it, because it's likely that someone else has that same passion and will be excited to be in the organization with them as well. So
yeah.
So tell us, what are the ways that students are being involved now? We know that with the coronavirus and the need to social distance, kind of tell us, what does that look like? What are the ways that students can still be involved safely, social distancing?
Yeah, so we're really proud of our organizations. In the summer, we weren't quite sure if they were even going to register to say that they wanted to do anything this year, because right now they really are programming primarily in a virtual space for utmost safety for our campus community. But we have, close to those 200 organizations already registered, which means they're already doing things on campus. We've had several virtual involvement fairs that we've offered to students to be able to learn more about student organizations. Our programming board that I touched on, SMAC, has hosted several online events already, and we've kind of reached more people doing those than we could safely have on campus. So organizations are here, they're active. I know you're going to give Ashley at the end some contact information for our office, because we know with 200 groups, it's overwhelming for students to know, where do I even start? How do I learn about those groups? How do I know if something exists on campus? Versus starting my own. We understand that process. And so we've got several mechanisms in place to help them through that contact information and just getting in touch with us so we can talk to them about what their interests are. How are you feeling socially on campus? How are you integrating? There are some spaces on campus that have been converted as kind of safe opportunities for them to hang out with one another and social distance and things like that. So we're really proud of our organizations for kind of taking advantage of what they can do and really working to be able to continue to engage students, to accept new members, and continue to create a space where students are feeling that connection that we know is very important for them to succeed.
Definitely. I serve as an advisor for a student organization on campus, and I met with them, I think now 2 weeks ago, and they seem very excited to start planning ways around having to meet in person. And they've had some really, really neat ideas. And honestly, it's almost like, being able to meet virtually, your participation of your meetings, they increase because, it's not, I have to be here, I have to be there. Everyone's able to get online and meet. And so I've really been happy and proud of the students that I advise and seeing how they've taken stride with everything that's happening and still being active and on campus as well as in the community. And so that's really nice that you guys are providing guidance to the students and helping them and directing them in ways to still be involved, still get their missions done, but still be able to do so safely.
Yeah.
I do know that you guys have been doing some giveaways on, I think, Fridays. Tell us a little bit about those. Are you guys hosting any other events for students? I know LSI typically hosts some events throughout the year. So what are you guys doing for students this semester?
Yeah, so we had some comprehensive programming that we did in what we kind of called the first 30 days. So the first 30 days of class, we made sure that we had at least one or two things, not just virtual, but some touch points to get students into our space in a safe way so that they can see where we are on campus and get to know us a little bit. And so one of those were what we called Fun Freebie Fridays. Don't say that 10 times fast.
Right.
And so what we would do each Friday was kind of release a new kind of cool, fun way that they could engage. And so I think the first week was online jigsaw puzzles. And so you could work on your computer or your phone and put together different images of Southern Miss's campus. And then if they sent that to us, they got to come to the office to get kind of a swag bag full of stuff. And we saw several dozen students take advantage of that. We've done free coffee at Starbucks. So if they check our social media, there's kind of a buzzword or something. And if they go to the Starbucks on campus and mention that, then they get that coffee for free on us. We have some Southern Miss coloring sheets that we did, a journal making kit, just kind of some out of the box ideas where we know you can't really hang out in large groups on campus, but there are still a lot of ways that you can spend time getting to know one another. There's a lot of ways that we can have those touch points with you and encouraging them to just explore different things on campus that they can take note of, especially as new students, getting familiar with campus. If you feel more comfortable on campus, you're more than likely to stay, you're more than likely to feel those connections. And so making sure that we're drawing them to some of those different places on campus. We finished that kind of 30-day thing. I believe it was the end of last week, but we've still got stuff going on for the whole semester. We're talking to our organizations right now about another virtual involvement fair at some point later in the semester. So typically we would just host one each semester, but since nothing is really typical about this year,
Right.
we want to do even more to make sure that students are aware of our organizations on campus and help those organizations connect to students who might be interested in their groups. And so probably in October, we'll host another virtual involvement fair where students can log on and learn about different organizations that might be accepting members this semester or will be about to accept members in the spring. And so the best way to kind of tell your student to keep in touch with us or to know what's going on is to follow us on social media and our website. And so I know you'll be able to give them that information, Ashley, when we're done in just a little bit, but that's the best way to kind of stay up to date with what we're doing. We put on our social media accounts every day. We're posting content either from something we're doing or some of those other organizations on campus that would be open events that students can tune into online or stop by and maybe pick something up that they can do in their residence hall room or wherever they stay in Hattiesburg.
Now, you touched a little bit on this a little bit ago when you mentioned, students being aware on campus and being connected. Can you talk a little bit more about why it is important for students to be in student organizations and to network? So, we have those students who are, just really focused on wanting to, get good grades and go to classes. So tell us, what is the philosophy behind getting involved in networking?
Yeah, so research tells us that students who are involved out of the class are more apt to succeed in the classroom. So what we want students to understand is this concept of a well-rounded person, right? We want you to come to college. We want you to excel in the classroom. We want you to get your degree in 4 years. And we want you to have something on your resume that really encapsulates the experiences you had at Southern Miss, what you learned about yourself, how you grew, how you maybe honed some of those important skills like conflict resolution and critical thinking and things that we know employers are looking for. Some of those intangible things are the things you're learning outside of the class. And so, yes, you should focus on academics. You should absolutely make that your top priority. But you have a lot of time on your hands when you're in college and you're not in class 40 hours a week. And so, what are you doing with the rest of that time? How can you maximize that? How can you grow as a person? How can you set yourself up for future success? Some of those experiences are the things that students tell us they learn in student organizations. And so it's critical for them to find a friend group, to find support on campus, to find resources that they know they can go to if they need help, if they need to figure something out. All of our student organizations have to have an on-campus faculty or staff advisor. And so the beauty of that is the relationship building then that students in these organizations can make with a campus contact. And so that networking can be huge sometimes, especially in some of our honor societies and academic groups, because they're developing that relationship with a faculty member who teaches the courses that they have, who's going to write them a letter of recommendation to get into graduate school. And so that faculty members had more of a chance than just, you're a person in my class in this seat, of I've really actually worked with you and seen you grow as a leader and seen you plan events on campus and seen your skill set progress. And so all of that stuff happens out of the class that complements what's going on in the class. And students don't have to join 10 organizations. They don't need to overwhelm themselves. They really don't. We know that we have a lot of them, but the goal is not for you to join as many as possible. The goal is to really focus on who you are, what's important to you, what do you want out of this experience, and you find a couple, maybe that's one or two, that you can really give all of your time to, that you're 100% into, that really help you with that integration and connection and networking. And that helps you leave your mark at Southern Miss and be prepared to go into the real world when you graduate.
Thank you for that. And the thing to remember is that, students, they're here for 4 years. And so they don't have to feel that they have to get involved in every single organization during 1 year. You can certainly spread that out across your 4 years. And so that way you can kind of get your feet wet in a couple of things, but don't stress yourself out. So parents, I do urge you to, encourage your students not to overload themselves. They ambitious and they want to get involved in lots of different things, which is okay. We want them to have perspectives, different perspectives in different things, but not everything in one year. So make sure to encourage them to kind of spread it out, to not overload themselves because they're going to be busy with schoolwork and we don't want them to just be stressed completely on all these outside extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was gonna say I think a lot of times, especially new students, get real tripped up on what the ideal groups are that you should join or what an ideal involvement experience looks like. And so we really just stress to them that like what works for you is what works for you. It might not be the same as somebody else. And there's also no harm in joining a group and determining that it's not for you. And so you don't rejoin it or you switch and you join something else. There's no step process of what a perfect involvement experience looks like, but students get the flexibility and the freedom to pick that for themselves. But sometimes they kind of put themselves in boxes or think if I didn't get involved my first year, I'm never going to get involved. I've missed all those opportunities. And that's just not true. I mean, we have seniors that are about to graduate in December that are just now joining organizations for, 3 months. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So just encouraging them to really not limit themselves on what they can be a part of.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, the discouragement piece. I know that a lot of freshman students will come in and there may be a particular organization that's like an interview process or a tryout for something, and maybe they didn't get it, and there's this discouragement that sits in. And it's so important for them not to let that settle within them and say, well, if I didn't get in this, and that means I'm just not going to be involved or I can't be in anything else. There is an array of things for them to still be connected to. And, families, please be sure to once again encourage your students to not feel that though, they can't be involved in anything because this one particular thing didn't work out. But there's so much more that's out there, and that they should definitely, put their feet out there and just go for it. And honestly, sometimes they'll find that they have other interests that they didn't know were really there, because maybe, something that we have here is not something they've ever been introduced to or was not at their high school. And so it's a really good opportunity to spread their wings, really to soar, to spread their wings as golden eagles and really get connected and really find out who they are. They're growing individuals, and this is all shaping them for who they'll be, their professionals after college. And so thank you so much for mentioning that.
Sure.
And you mentioned in your explanation about, being leaders and being, well-rounded, and this is what student organizations do. Does LSI offer leadership opportunities or trainings to help our students become better leaders?
Yeah, we do through a couple different avenues for our student organization leaders. So the students who are in organizations in leadership positions. Each year we have kind of a registration training process with them. This year that's virtual. Some resources that we give them through our website and things like that. But we also recognize that that's a small population, and we want all students to feel like you can be a leader if you want to be, right? Like, again, you don't have to just be in an organization to be a president to be considered a leader. There are not boxes that you're kind of pre-assigned to. So for any student at Southern Miss, we do workshops. They're called student leadership workshops. The first one is coming up in a couple weeks. So tell your student to check our website. We've got registration information up there. And those are on a wide variety of topics of what we feel like is maybe really affecting students right now that we hear a lot of them talk about or say that they're not prepared to handle, or things like that. Or just maybe another campus resource office or something that we feel like they really need to know about to be a leader on campus. You need to be in touch with these people. We also have an event every spring called the Student Leadership Summit. And so that is a free conference on campus for any Southern Miss student. So regardless of leadership position or title, just if you're interested, you can come. Where they get to hear from different faculty and staff on campus who present different topics about leadership. So that's anything from, maybe women in leadership to critical thinking skills to, how to handle difficult conversations with people, any of those kinds of topics. And then students really get to pick what they want to go to listen to. So it's fun for them because there's a lot of different variety. We're keeping them up, moving around every hour, that kind of stuff. So they tend to really enjoy those experiences. And then we also have a leadership library, which is a physical library of books. I know sometimes when I tell people that, they're like, so you have real book, like, yes, real book that people touch, that they still use, they do, that they can come in and check out. And that's on a huge variety of topics about leadership. Also, everything from inventory styles. So what kind of leader are you? Why are you the way that you are? A lot of times students are just kind of searching to learn about themselves, and they really need that reflective piece about who they are before they can be effective leading other people, right? So some of those resources that, again, are free for any Southern Miss student to come in and check out with us whenever they want to.
That's awesome. I just learned something new myself. That's really cool. So tell us, what role do families play in assisting students in their social engagement?
I think families are a critical, piece of the puzzle in helping students remain on campus and connected, because we know that students are reaching out to their parents and families, right? They're telling them what they're experiencing. They're telling them if they're sad. They're telling them if they feel unconnected. And so I love opportunities like this and everything that you guys do, Ashley, because, we know how important parent and families are to the success of our students. And so we need them to help us remind students that there are resources available to them, remind students that there are 200 different ways to get involved. Have you reached out to the office to talk about that? So we really want our parents and families to be experts on these resources. Selfishly for us, we want them to know all there is to know about involvement, that they're learning from us talking, so that they can tell their student, because students trust them. They're going to reach out. They're going to tell you what they're feeling. They might not feel comfortable doing that to us yet on campus, or having an avenue to do that. And so we need parents and families to really help us remind our students of what those resources are and get them to us so we can help them be successful.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I know that, the past couple of weeks or month or so, I've had several families reach out in regards to, social engagements and their students connecting and meeting people, which is why I thought it was so important that we held this particular Seymour Scoop with you, because it's an importance. Families want to know that their students are able to meet people and make connections and make friends and get involved. And we all know that that's important for our own psychological being. And so I'm glad that you said yes to being with us. And I hope that families, feel a little bit more at ease and have a better understanding of the opportunities that are available, and will share this information with their students. It'll certainly be saved on our Facebook page. And so feel free to, families, go back and, look at the information. If you joined in a little late, it'll be saved there that you can review it, so you can hear every detail. And of course, I'll give out the contact information so that you can feel free to reach out to myself or Miss Emily or to the office, and that we can help you as your student is, finding ways to get connected on campus. So is there anything else that families should know or students should know about your office or about LSI or getting connected, or anything that's coming up this semester or in the coming weeks?
So yeah, I definitely would want parents and families to know how available we are to students. We're constantly meeting with students, whether that's phone calls or virtual, or we have several avenues that are very easy for them to get in touch with us. Some of that's the contact information that you'll share, Ashley. Also, that involvement ambassador team that I talked about in the beginning. There is a form on our website called a connection form, and any student can fill that out, and we will have a student leader on campus reach out to them and talk to them about involvement. So if your student is telling you, I hear everybody say there's a lot of ways to get involved, I know there's opportunities, but I still just don't even know where to start. It would just be great if I could talk to someone about what I'm interested in, and they can kind of help me figure out what those groups are. That's our involvement ambassador team. And so they talk to hundreds of students each semester at any point in the semester. So right now it's just started, and we're definitely hearing that more. But if your student comes to you in December and says that, if they come to you next April and say that, like, we are still here. We don't just talk about involvement at the beginning of a semester and then it's too late, you've missed the boat. You can do it at any time. And so share that website with them so they can find that form and reach out, so we can have our student leaders reach out to them and talk to them about all of those ways to get involved if they're still feeling like they haven't discovered that yet, or they need any help with that. Students tend to respond really well when talking to a peer about what their experience looked like and how that's been successful for them. And so we want them to be able to have that kind of contact with an upperclassman that can really help them figure that out.
Wonderful. So I'll give you guys the information on how to contact them, but Emily, if you could tell us about where you're located on campus, where can students come to find you? If there's
Uh-huh.
any type of process that students need to be aware of as they're coming into the office. Of course, we know it is required to have a face mask on our face covering, but please let us know where you're located and if there's any proper things that students need to complete as they come into your office.
Yeah, so we are in the Student Activities Hub, which is in the Union Complex. So if you're familiar with Seymour's, which is where Subway and Chick-fil-A are, instead of going into the Thad Cochran Center side, if you walked through the other side, that would be the Student Activities Hub. A lot of times parents will say the old post office, and I'll say, yes,
Right.
the old post office.
That's
So if
it.
you're familiar with Southern Miss and have been around the old post office area, if not, just tell your students the Union and they'll get directed to the right place. We are open. At any given time, we might be doing virtual meetings or in and out of the office or things like that. So students can feel free to stop in. We have student workers that can certainly help them. If they do want kind of a one-on-one experience or to talk about involvement or things like that, we would definitely recommend using that form so we can make sure someone's available to meet with them, or emailing us through our website they can find as well. So we can just make sure that we're available to help them whenever they're ready to come in.
Awesome. So you can find the Office of Leadership and Student Involvement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Their Facebook account is Southern Miss Office of Leadership and Student Involvement. You can just type in their office name in the search bar and you'll be able to find them. And that's the Southern Miss Office of Leadership and Student Involvement. And they are also on Twitter and Instagram at USM_LSI. USM_LSI. Now you can also reach them by phone at 601-266-4403 or by email at lsi@usm.edu. So please reach out and use them as a resource for your students as they are still navigating ways to get connected. There's so much out there. There's so many opportunities for them. And we hope that you found this webcast helpful to you. Please know that the Office of the Center for Student Success and the Office of Leadership and Student Involvement are here for you, and as well as myself as your coordinator of parent and family programs. Parent and family programs exist for you to serve you in any way that we possibly can. We do hope that you'll join us for next month's Seymour Scoop. It'll be held on Wednesday, October 14th. We do host a Seymour Scoop every month, and it's an opportunity for us to meet with a resource on campus to bring you more information as you are helping your students. We know that they're there, that you're there for your students and that they're always communicating with you. And so this is just another outlet, another opportunity to give them some really helpful advice and some good information. As always, should you need anything at all, please feel free to reach Parent and Family Programs at our office number, which is 601-266-6405. And you can also reach us by email at parents, and that's parents with an S, parents and family at usm.edu. I do hope that each of you have a great day. Do you have any last words, Miss Emily?
I do not. Yeah, please just feel free to reach out. We're definitely here to help your students make the most of their experience at Southern Miss.
Awesome. Well, y'all have a great day and a wonderful week. And as we say it on campus, Southern Miss to the top. Bye-bye.